Hello, thank you for joining me for SEL 101, Social Emotional Learning in the Classroom. My name is Kathleen Erdman. I'm the Content Specialist for Social Emotional Learning with Brevard County Schools. Let me quickly review the three objectives for today's presentation. By the end of the PowerPoint, you should be able to define Social Emotional Learning, or SEL, understand why SEL is an integral part of our student success in school and in life, and how SEL can be implemented in schools. So let's start at the beginning. What is social emotional learning? CASEL, the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, defines SEL, or social emotional learning, as the process through which children and adults understand and manage emotions, set and achieve positive goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain positive relationships, and make responsible decisions. CASEL's widely used framework identifies 5 core competencies that, when prioritized across settings, districts, schools, classrooms, families, and the wider community, can educate hearts, inspire minds, and help students navigate the world more effectively. We're going to take a few moments and examine the 5 core SEL competencies and how they relate to positive classroom outcomes. Self-awareness is the ability to recognize one's own feelings, interests, and strengths, in addition to maintaining an accurate level of self-efficacy. Students who are self-aware are capable of describing and understanding their own emotions. In addition, they are capable of recognizing their own strengths and weaknesses. Students' beliefs about their own strengths and weaknesses influence the academic choices they make, how long they will persist on tasks, and whether or not they will ask for help when they are frustrated or confused. Self-management skills allows individuals to handle daily stresses and control their emotions under difficult situations. Students' capacities to regulate their emotions impact student memory and the cognitive resources they use on academic tasks. Self-management skills include the ability to monitor and reflect on personal and academic goal setting. Academic self-management has important implications for students' motivations in the classroom, as well as learning strategies students use to master material. Social awareness allows individuals to take others' perspectives into account and show empathy. Socially aware students are more likely to recognize and appreciate the similarities and differences of others. Students need to take the perspective of their classmates during classroom discussions and attempt to empathize and relate with characters during the analysis of texts. Relationship skills allow students to develop and maintain healthy relationships with others, including the ability to resist negative social pressures, resolve interpersonal conflict, and seek help when needed. Students need to be able to work well with their classmates in order to participate in any collaborative group. Responsible decision-making enables students to keep in mind multiple factors, such as ethics, standards, respect, and safety concerns when making their decisions. This competency includes students' capacity to identify problems and develop appropriate solutions to those problems, whether if they are social or academic. Now that we have an understanding of what SEL is, we will now move on to the why of today's presentation. We'll be examining the Brevard Public Schools vision and strategic plan as it relates to social emotional learning, reasons that SEL is a focus for all students, and research supporting SEL for all students. Florida requires the district to include these particular elements of Senate Bill 7030 in a district plan annually. The revisioned 2020 through 2025 Brevard Public Schools strategic plan comes from the need to better measure and track the district's short-term strategies and long-range accomplishments. The BPS strategic plan serves as a 5-year roadmap. Each goal consists of division priorities. In each, BPS has identified objectives and performance indicators with detailed strategies and metrics that allow our leaders to measure our progress along the way. Objective A3, along with strategies S1 and S2, specifically addresses social, emotional, and behavioral development and supports. In addition to our district recognizing the need to strengthen SEL skills in our students, contemporary medical and social science research supports SEL as an effective strategy to recover from trauma or adversity and build grit. Adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, are potentially traumatic events that occur in childhood. Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris, California's first Surgeon General, has dedicated her career to changing the way society responds to childhood trauma. She first noticed the need in her clinic in San Francisco. There was a high number of children referred to the clinic by schools for ADHD diagnosis or screenings. Noticing a strong relationship between adversity or trauma and school functioning, she then did a deep dive on the records of 700 of her patients. Her research revealed that patients who had experienced severe trauma were 32 times more likely to be diagnosed with a learning or behavioral problem than children who had not experienced any trauma. Toxic stress suffered by children because of ACEs can also result in health issues that cause absenteeism. The higher the ACE score, the more likely a child is to miss a day in school, Burke-Harris had noted. This graphic from the Centers for Disease Control highlights the connection between social-emotional learning and treatment or prevention of ACEs. You can find more information about ACEs at www.cdc.gov and search for ACEs in the A to Z index of conditions. While the research on ACEs indicates a need for social-emotional learning, Castle's research focuses on the data detailing the benefits of social-emotional learning on student outcomes. Results of a 2011 meta-analysis reveals that SEL programming leads to improvements in SEL skills, but we also see some other important outcomes, like improved attitudes about self, others, and school, positive classroom behavior, 11 percentile point gain on standardized academic achievement tests, reductions in conduct problems, and reductions in emotional distress. If you take a look at the top 10 skills identified by the World Economic Forum as important to employers, you will see that they are related to SEL competencies. Next, let's take a look at how SEL can be implemented in schools. Research has shown that social-emotional development can be fostered, and social-emotional skills, attitudes, and behaviors can be taught using 4 approaches: explicit instruction using an evidence-based curriculum, teaching instructional practices such as cooperative learning, project-based learning, both of which promote social-emotional, integration of SEL competencies in academic curriculum, and organizational strategies that promote SEL as a school-wide initiative, creating a climate and culture conducive to learning. In this section, we'll take a closer look at each approach and how you can integrate SEL into your classroom. The first approach we will explore is explicit social-emotional learning skills instruction. The CASEL Program Guide identifies well-designed evidence-based social and emotional learning programs. 2 evidence-based explicit SEL curriculum programs that Brevard Public Schools support are Sanford Harmony and Lions Quest. Both are recognized by CASEL as select programs. A CASEL Select program, Sanford Harmony, is free for all Florida schools and provides a detailed lesson plan, stories, songs, activities for students in grades pre-K through 6. This is what the Sanford Harmony physical kits look like, but all curriculum materials, with the exception of our little stuffed green friend in the middle there, Z, can be accessed online by setting up a free teacher account at www.sanfordharmony.org. Best practices for SEL is a daily connection activity like Meet Up, Buddy Up, and weekly lessons starting from Unit 1, Lesson 1 for all grade levels. But educators can use Sanford Harmony as various issues arise in the classroom. Let's take, for example, let's say a second grade teacher, Mrs. Smith, has noticed that groups of children are excluding a new student on the playground and at lunch. She's looking for a lesson on making friends and inclusivity. After logging into her free teacher account, she will select the appropriate grade level and explore lessons in Unit 1, Diversity and Inclusion, or Unit 5, Peer Relationships. She decides first to revisit a lesson she's already done with her class on discovering commonalities in an effort to make connections with the class and the new student. Then jump ahead to Unit 5 lessons on caring for others and being inclusive. Also note that with each unit, there are family letters that can be sent home to inform parents and guardians of the skills that you're working on, as well as activities parents can do at home with their children to support the SEL skill that you are teaching. Once you are in the lesson that you want, all required and supplemental materials are here, including printed and recorded versions of the social story, class activities with directions, and a supply list, lesson goals, objectives, and key concepts. Training videos on how to deliver the lessons can also be accessed through the online portal under the How To tab. The Lions Quest curriculum for grades 7 and 8 is called Skills for Adolescents, and the high school program is called Skills for Action, and they include explicit lesson plans as well as a service learning component. The unit supports skill building in the 5 core SEL competency areas that we've already covered. Lessons on drugs, alcohol, tobacco, and violence prevention are also integrated into the thematic units. The school district has ordered kits for every secondary school, and these kits were delivered to all secondary schools in August of this school year. Currently, the Lions Quest curriculum is in physical kits only, with supplemental materials available on the accompanying jump drive. The Lions Quest programs are universally designed to be implemented with all students in all grade levels. Each grade level offers 36 skill building lessons that can be taught in about 35 to 40-minute class periods. Due to the unique scheduling and academic challenges that face educators in secondary schools, you may see SEL explicit instruction delivered in different ways. Social emotional lessons can be integrated into academic courses or taught exclusively in a particular class, like peer counseling, career research, learning strategies, or health. Some schools have a homeroom, advisory period, or power hour period of time that weekly can be utilized for SEL curriculum delivery. Lions Quest or other SEL programs can be used as a targeted intervention for smaller groups of students showing a need or a SEL competency deficiency. But ideally, social emotional learning curriculum should be delivered school-wide through whatever means available so that all students receive the instruction and thereby the benefits of building their social emotional skills. Next, we'll take a look at teacher instructional practices that promote SEL. The SEL 3 signature practices are one tool for fostering a supportive environment and promoting SEL. They intentionally and explicitly help build a habit of practices through which students and adults enhance their SEL skills. While not an actual curriculum, these practices are one concrete example of a way to help people understand and practice the goals of an overall systemic SEL implementation plan. We'll briefly review these 3 signature practices, but if you would like further information, your lead mentor teacher can make the full resource available to you from the lead mentor platform. It is about 65 to 70 pages long, though, if you want to print it. The 3 signature practices are a welcoming or inclusion activity, such as report the door, morning circles, or bell ringers that address an SEL competency. Engaging strategies such as mindfulness in the classroom and Socratic seminar. And optimistic closure activities to encourage reflection on the previous day's lessons. You can also find the complete 3 signature practices playbook resource on the BPS SEL webpage, which is located under Student Services. Now let's look at how SEL concepts can be integrated into various academic areas. Integrating and aligning SEL with other priorities, including academics, is important because it optimally supports social and emotional development throughout the school day and helps educators make connections that will support social and emotional development in a variety of school contexts, including connecting literature to SEL concepts like book lists, science lessons to study brain structure anatomy and its impact on choices, interactions, experiences, or studying history to examine conflict resolution and diversity. The next few slides will give you some ideas on how to work SEL concepts into various academic areas. And go to the BPS SEL website for links to the actual resources and lesson plans. Science courses can connect decision-making and emotions to brain development, biology, or anatomy. A great one that I found is called My Teen Brain. Civics, history, and social studies can support social awareness through examinations of historical events. Various museums like the Smithsonian and organizations that promote social responsibility like Teaching Tolerance are great resources for lesson plans. There are books and novels that explore various social emotional competencies in its characters and themes. These book lists are found on the BPS SEL website by grade levels, like elementary, secondary, and so forth. The final approach to SEL in the school community has to do with the school's climate or culture. School-wide climate and culture strategies support a systemic approach to integrating academic, social, and emotional learning across all school contexts. This approach provides a learning environment that infuses SEL into all aspects of instruction and promotes equitable outcome for all students. A climate and culture supporting school-wide SEL is evidenced by youth voice and engagement, a supportive school and classroom climate, focus on adult SEL, supportive discipline, a continuum of integrated supports, and authentic community and family partnerships. Thank you so much for your attention today. For additional information, research, resources related to SEL, please visit the BPS SEL website, which can be found under the Student Services Department page.